Right, well, I think we're ready to go, as ready as we'll ever be. So welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to MBC News Debate, which tonight is about the US presidency. So welcome. We have with us, in no particular order, Cubsfan Pugilist speaking for Democrats and Parmaneides Ethaniel speaking for the Republicans. Now, I hope I've got that right because I'm a Brit and I don't always get it right. So, the MBC News Debate today is kindly sponsored by BDMM Design, Next Core Model Management and WBA Advertising. And what we're going to start with, we've actually done our coin toss, and Parmaneides Ethaniel, speaking for the Republicans, is going to go first with an opening statement of 1 minute. Take it away, Parmaneides.
Thank you, Dusa, and I'd like to start by thanking MBC for hosting this debate and the John McCain for America group for allowing me to debate on their behalf. A strong society measures its values against higher principles beyond our collective human frailties. None know this better than those who have devoted their lives to serving a cause greater than themselves. A lifetime of service has prepared John McCain to lead our nation and the free world. This may be one of our darkest hours, fighting 2 wars and facing global economic crisis. Few could understand hardships and struggles like these better than someone like John McCain, who has faced challenges that most of us could never imagine. President McCain will lead this nation to a brighter future, to help us realize the promise of America as a shining city on a hill, beacon of hope and freedom to the world. He has fought his entire life for America, and as president will continue to do so. Thank you.
Brilliantly timed, if I may say so. And now, turning to Cubsfan, it's your turn.
Thank you. Thanks to NBC and also to the Obama for President group and the McCain group. Why do I support Barack Obama? 3 reasons, really. First, Obama can truly bring people together. He can unite Democrats, independents, and even Republicans. That's why he has received the endorsements of numerous key Republicans, from former Secretary of State Colin Powell to former Massachusetts Governor William Weld. He even received the endorsement of the Chicago Tribune, which has never endorsed a Democratic presidential candidate in its 161-year history. Second, Barack Obama takes problems seriously. He is cool, calm, and collected, even in a moment of crisis. He thoroughly examines the issues, and unlike our current commander-in-chief, enthusiastically listens to and learns from those who hold positions different from his own. Finally, Barack Obama inspires Americans across class, region, and party. After 8 years of economic struggles, 2 wars, and the most corrupt administration in modern American history, Americans are longing to hope again. That's why I'm supporting Barack Obama.
Thank you, Cubsfan. Okay, we now come to our first question, and what I will tell you, ladies and gentlemen, is that nobody has been primed on these questions. They've been given headings, but they haven't been given the questions, and the questions are now being pulled out of the hat, literally being pulled out of the hat. So, the first one is, it's to Parmaneides. If you agree with President Bush's economic policy rescue plan, I should say, of $700 billion. Can you tell us why? And if you do not, what would you suggest should be done?
Well, like most Americans, I'm skeptical of the $700 billion rescue plan because, of course, it is a huge investment, and if it doesn't work, well, we're all in an awful lot of trouble. Something had to be done. I would have preferred something more conservative, something that would have taken less money from the taxpayers. But it has been done, and now what's of concern is how that money is spent. That is why I support John McCain's plan to invest $300 billion of that money in buying up bad mortgages and replacing them with stable, long-term mortgages that homeowners can afford. McCain proposed this a while back, and it seems to have gained significant support amongst both independents and Democrats. It is unpopular with the Republican Party, which just goes to show what a maverick that John McCain has been throughout his career. He's willing to do what's unpopular with his own party in order to do what's right for the country. Now, hopefully, we will not need to spend any more money from the taxpayer to get out of this current economic crisis. But if we do, I would rather have a more conservative leader like John McCain, who would make these decisions cautiously rather than rush blindly into them. The Democratic Party has shown a propensity for big spending. And under Barack Obama, they have already proposed approximately $1 trillion in new spending. Do we really want people who feel so free to spend our taxpayer money to be the ones who decide how that money is spent to get this country out of the current economic crisis that we're facing? I, for one, think that most Americans would rather have somebody who is more cautious in spending.
Thank you, Parmaneides.
Thank you.
And we now turn to Cubsfan for a response to that, if we may.
Thank you. Starting with the $700 billion plan, there's no perfect solution. I mean, I think this was the right solution under the circumstances, but it has a long way to go. The thing that concerns me the most is that the Secretary of the Treasury has as much power as he does in terms of making all of the decisions with regard to how the money is spent. I think we need oversight, and I think that's a concern of Senator Obama's, and I think that's something that he's going to push for when he gets in the White House, and will make certain that whoever he selects as Secretary of the Treasury will do the job that needs to be done in connection with this. Now, as for the whole issue of spending, Republicans love to talk about Democrats as big spenders. But the fact of the matter is, it was under this administration, last I checked it was Republican, George W. Bush, where we brought up the debt from $5 trillion to $10 trillion and made the largest deficit in American history. And guess what? 4 out of the last 5 budgets of George W. Bush, which helped bring about this deficit and debt, were supported by John McCain. So, it's sort of a myth that Republicans constantly work to lower government budgets. Under the Bush administration, as under Reagan before it, huge ballooning deficits happen. I think Barack Obama, in his philosophy, which is pay as you go, he sits down and actually looks at each proposal that he makes for additional spending and makes sure that there's either a cut or some sort of loophole closing to take account for it. So as a result, I think this is the most conservative plan. It's ironic, the most conservative plan is coming from a Democrat in this situation. So I'm confident that Barack Obama will do what it takes to bring down the debt and bring down the deficit over the next 4 years, and if he's reelected, over the next 8 years.
Ah, well done. Okay, thank you. So, you don't need any time to come back to that, do you? Our next question is this, and it goes to Cubsfan. Are you ready, Cubsfan?
I am ready.
Does Iran create a danger with its progress of nuclear development? And if so, what are we suggesting that the USA should do about it?
Well, first let me start by saying yes, definitely. The fact that Iran has moved towards gaining nuclear weapons is a serious concern for the Mideast and for the world at large. But the question is, what can we do to reduce the risk that first, that Iran will get the weapons, and second, that they will use them? Well, guess what? Under the Bush administration, there was a lot of tough talk, but that was about it. And early on, while the Bush administration was refusing to even talk at any level to Iran, Iran started moving closer and closer to gaining nuclear weapons. Now, we have to do what works. And what works is strong, tough negotiation. Europeans have been doing it, and we need to take a leadership role as well, of sitting down with our adversaries and not in any way giving in to them, but pushing forward a plan to first get them to give up nuclear weapons or give up the pursuit of nuclear weapons. And second of all, we have to be willing to make never concessions, but we have to be willing to make it worth their while, in the sense that we'll get rid of these sanctions, we'll move forward ahead if they give up their pursuit of nuclear weapons and it's clearly verifiable. And as a result, I think that's the real key. The McCain philosophy is the tough talk, which hasn't worked and has made the situation worse. The Obama philosophy is tough negotiation, which Kennedy did with Russia, which Reagan did with Russia, which Nixon did with China. That is what we need, and that's how we can move ahead.
Thank you, Cubsfan. Okay, and now we're moving over to Parmaneides to respond to that.
It's interesting that Cubs fans should talk about strong diplomacy.